Okay, I'm going to talk short and brief about emotional regulation and distress tolerance. The first thing I'm going to talk about, however, is to show you a little explanation about how the brain works so that you can see the physiological effects when a person gets into fight, flight, or freeze mode. So this is the spinal cord, and this is the brain up here. And so what I'm going to show you first is that with normal functioning, the the signals that come up the brainstem and go into what's called the hypothalamus and the amygdala. That part of the brain is where the fight, flight, and freeze signals go to. And so this is the hippocampus, that part of the brain that perceives danger. And so, anyway, I'm going to bring my fingers down. And what this does is this is going to show you the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is where there's no emotion, and there's the ability to think and reason and be able to if that person is in that state of mind right then, you're able to reason with them and talk with them, and they can think things through. Okay, so when a child or an adult perceives that things are not the way they want them to be, or the way that they may be feeling threatened or whatever inside, and the emotions start to rise. And so what happens is the amygdala gets activated, and so literally the child or the adult that is having peak emotions actually is what is called, they flip their lid. And so that reasoning, that thinking is gone. And so any person that's going to try to talk to them or yell at them or get them, even by saying stop, it's not going to make a difference, because that thinking part of the brain is offline. And so, what you want to do is to help that person, whether it's yourself or a child, to get that prefrontal cortex, that thinking part of the brain, back online. And the only way to do that is to get the body regulated. So, when there's normal activities and no danger going on and everybody's calm, everything's working the way it should. So the way to get the body back online is the thinking back online is to, first of all, touch that person, touch yourself, give yourself a hug, give that person, if they allow you to, a hug, and touch them where they feel safe. Because if you touch them where they don't feel safe, then all of a sudden it just flips the lid even more. So you want to have gentle tone. You want to have where you can actually get them to calm down. And touch works because it produces the oxytocin, and then it helps to regulate the body, and get everything back online. And so help them, or you yourself, take deep breaths in through the nose for 5 or 6, hold it for 4, and then breathe out for at least 7. So let's do that together. Breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out longer than usual, at least 6 or 7. And continue to do this. Breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out. Make sure that breath coming out is longer. Okay, another thing that helps is to do what's called distress tolerance skills. And you can do this on yourself and teach your children how to do this as well. One of the skills is called TIPP, T-I-P-P. Now, the T stands for temperature. So put some cold water on your face. I mean, just, it doesn't have to be freezing cold, but just cold or cool. And that produces what's called the diver's reflex. And that brings the body regulations and the breathing back down too. And then the I stands for intense exercise. And maybe just, go for a walk back and forth in one of the rooms where you're at, and this doesn't always work just right then. And anyway, so then the other one is the breathing. P is paced breathing. So do that breathing, and it doesn't matter if you do this in the correct order. It's just any of these is a go-to, whatever you can think of, whatever you can do right then. And then the other one is paired muscle relaxation. And basically that's using the breaths again with a deep breath in. And this time you're actually tensing part of your muscles, like your hands, and then doing that breathing. But then as you breathe out, you're actually making a concerted effort to relax that particular set of muscles. Another thing to do is to think of a stop sign, and the acronym STOP, S-T-O-P, stands for stop. You literally stop what you're doing, and if you can think, you realize what's going on with the brain now. And so you need to get regulated, and only you can do that for yourself. And you can teach your children how to do this and help them to be able to do it regularly too. So this T stands for taking a step back. And you can do this figuratively in your mind or literally. Because for one thing, if you take a step back and you literally physically take that step backwards, instead of going towards a person and that feels threatening to them, you're literally going to take that danger back a step. And that person might not feel threatened, or you might be able to take a step back from what's happening and literally be able to then do the O, which is observe. And so you want to be mindful and be aware of your surroundings and the situation, and try to think about what's going on. And then you can do the P, which is pause. And then once your brain is back online and you're able to think and process things through, then you can proceed mindfully, and this time effectively. Yelling and trying to get someone to stop doing what they're doing does not work, because if they're in emotion mind, and that's all there is no thinking things through. And this is just the way that God made our brains. And I wish that people would teach their children this, because then they can learn to regulate their emotions, and they can learn about this, teach them about this, and explain to them that this is what happens when you get all emotional. You're not able to think. And so when they can understand that too, then they can think, oh, I flipped my lid. And you can make it a fun little game between you and say, oh, I think you flipped your lid. And then, stroke their back. Something that's soothing, because they need that, and then you need that as well. You can go ahead and stop.